itself later after the session, and you can come back to me anytime. So I can share my screen. Okay, just send a reply message if it's visible. Can you see my screen? So there is now presentation file I'm going to share. Okay, is it visible? Can okay, great. Okay, so okay, I was hoping everybody should be on time. I shouldn't get this pop-up anymore. Okay, so let's start our session. So this is I mean, those people who attended the previous session, this slide might be repeating, so just bear with me. So small introduction about me. I'm working as a full stack developer in for a corporate F-Secure in Finland. That's an antivirus company in Finland. And if people like, if someone doesn't know about Finland, Finland is like a Nordic country. It's part of Europe. So okay. So I'm working here as a AWS. I am working here as a full stack developer. I recently finished my AWS cloud certification, architect certification, and apart from that, I work on different API management, API development. Mostly my expertise lies into Java. But in today's life, like we are very heavily we are dealing with DevOps, AWS, cloud. I also have experience into IoT, different hardware and software communicating projects. So I have overall around 7 to 8 years of experience. That's pretty much. I won't take much time. By the way, that's my cat, Oreo. Okay, let's moving to the next slide. So what we are going to study in today's session is like it's 2 hour session. We'll be having hands-on. As you know, if you attended my previous session on Docker, I avoid theoretical discussion. I won't be like boring you guys or you people. So it's better to make more hands-on session, more like with demo, so that you will find it as a fun, also interesting. And I didn't do any live or anything. So this is very interactive session. Feel free to ask question in between, and queries and everything. Make the session more interactive. Don't feel bored or just listen or sleeping or spend your time on mobile, because I'm doing this free of cost, and I have my industry experience. I'm sharing it free of cost, especially during Corona time, just to make like make better life for everybody by sharing knowledge. So make sure you take a full advantage of this session. Okay, so moving to the next slide now. So in this session, we are going to start with the AWS cloud computing. Today's session will be enough for you people to get started with AWS cloud, how to go inside AWS software, not software, AWS console. It's kind of online website, and how to manage different services under AWS cloud. And it will be enough for you people to get started with AWS cloud. And then I can show you like I have this future plan. So in today's section, I'm going to go through all the basics of AWS cloud, and you need to know all of this concept. And then soon I'll be planning next session, which will be again on AWS, but that will be bit advanced, but there will be very like really nice use cases which people use in real-time industry. So that will be part of session 2. I'll be doing in future. I'll let you know everyone. The second part will be again one of the another interesting demos. Uh, like again, it will have very interesting use case. That will be the third session. And then I have another topic in mind, which is microservices using Docker Compose. So people, those people who have attended Docker, for them, I'll highly suggest to go attend this session. Microservice is very hot topic in today's industry. Everybody is going through microservice, and they are building microservices using different technology, and the Docker Compose plays very important role. And those who haven't attended Docker session, if you go to my YouTube channel, there is already the session has been recorded. and you can go through the session and you can do the hands-on, and then you can attend this session. So this is like upcoming more session. I'm hoping like many of people attend and they take the advantage or benefit of this session. But for today's we'll be covering this concept. So IAM, user, reason, availability zone. So these are the different concepts we'll be covering today, and I hope like it will be fun, and you people will find it interesting. So moving to the next slide. Before I start about before I talk about AWS cloud, or in general I say about cloud. So like you people must be wondering like what is cloud. Like we how come like this cloud term came into the IT market or software industry, how it's like different than others. Or so the basically before we understand cloud computing, we should know like how IT used to work before, like in traditional way of IT working. So let's go to the next slide. So you if you have built any small application in your local, so what happens, like we suppose we build any HTML website or anything. So what is the next process we do? We deploy it into the server. So in our case, what we do, we use our local laptop, we use our local machine for everything, and then we go to localhost colon 8080, and then we hit that URL and we get the website. Okay, so that is the local setup we do. But in real time, what happens, we have servers, we have some real-time servers, for example www.google.com, www.facebook.com. So when you hit that domain, when you hit that URL, what happens, the request goes to server, and that server is like here, that goes via network to the server. Now why am I explaining about this server? Because this server is like some physical machine. Again, it's some like laptop, or it's kind of some machine which is present in the company's premise, and or it is present in the home if the person has set the data center in his home itself. So what happened there? So that's kind of some physical machine where you have to manage, where company has to manage those machine. So they are deploying, they are taking care of networking, they are taking care of maintenance. So you see this below picture, even if in your college campus and everything, you have multiple computers, must be some data center, there must be some network management. You remember your IT team, your networking team, they are taking care of all this infrastructure. So that is kind of, that is known as like a traditional approach of managing that softwares, managing the computers. So now what is the problem there? So this is like problem becomes like this, like if till the time you have one server, two server, it's fine, you can manage with that. What about if the servers are increased, if you have really big complex product, you have many products, then what? Just consider the Facebook is heavily used by the all over world. So they have very big data center. If they have to use this traditional IT approach, then they have to build a very big data center. Then what's the problem? The problem is this: you have to find the space, you have to find the place where you have to place all the machine, all the laptop, all the servers. Then you have to pay for power supply, you have to pay for maintenance. Then in case if the server is down, or in case if there is huge traffic on your software, huge traffic on your application, how will you scale? Because your machine has some capability to handle the network, right? So you have to scale your machine. So well, I'll explain scaling and everything in the session 2, how we do it in real time. And then the fourth point is we need 24/7 support. So if your application is really critical, then people provide, for example, banking application in like ICICI Bank or any banking application. They are really critical application. For at any cost, that application shouldn't go down. Otherwise, customer support will be full of complaints, and it really destroys the image of the company, reputation of the company. So you need to provide 24/7 support. And then you need to have like a plan for disaster. That is possible, right? For example, you have set up your data center in your home. For example, you have installed, you have deployed your software on your two of the machine which is in your home. And suppose the earthquake came, like everything is destroyed, or there is sudden power shutdown, something happened. So how will you bear with those problems? Well, you can bear with those problems, but you have to put effort, you have to manage everything by yourself. So so these are the different problems that happens with the traditional IT approach, which is like this: when you have everything by your side, networking, data center, servers, everything, then that's a problem. So now, then people like 10 years back, 15 years back, like people started realizing how we can make the better out of it, how we can like fix this problem, how we can bring the reusability, like how we can do like solve this problem. So the answer is cloud computing. So the what is cloud computing? For example, I have built my website and I have to deploy it on machine. So the one approach can be I can use my laptop. I can use my IP address of my laptop. I can open the firewall to traffic. I can change the firewall setting in my laptop, and then my laptop will accept the traffic from everywhere. That is one option. But still, using my laptop is kind of traditional approach. I have to manage my laptop, and my laptop will be fully dedicated to that website. In case if my laptop is shut down or something happens, that website will be shut down, and people won't be able to access. So the cloud computing is there, that the cloud computing will help you. So cloud computing is nothing but on demand availability of computer. It's not only just computer, you can access the databases. There are lots of services. I'll show you when I log in into the AWS. So the cloud, just consider like cloud computing is nothing but the machine, the data centers which we are managing by ourselves. That's no more needed to manage by yourself. That is taken care by someone else. And who is someone else? In our case, it's big Amazon team, Amazon AWS team. But there are now different cloud providers like Azure, that's owned by Microsoft. Google is also, again, they have their own cloud. So Google computing platform. Then IBM also is one of the cloud provider which provides cloud services. Um, you might have used cloud services. For example, if someone has used Dropbox, so Dropbox is again one of the cloud services where every services is available in cloud. So cloud is nothing but it's again the data center. Just don't think it's like something imaginary which you cannot see. No, it's again the data center. It's established somewhere. You are just accessing that data center over the internet, and the control of that data center is to someone else, like owner of the company. In our case, that data center is totally managed by AWS team. How it will benefit, I'll show you with demos. So just understand, cloud is nothing but again the big set of machines, servers, and everything, which is handled by a different company. You just use the website or console to access those machines. The benefit is clear: pay as you go. This benefit will be more clear when, for example, I have a website and I have my laptop. Suppose my laptop is now, I'm launching my website from my laptop. So what will happen in my case? My laptop will be fully dedicated to that website. Even if there is like not huge traffic, there is less traffic, even nobody is visiting my website, or even my website is useless, still I have to dedicate my laptop to that website. So in that case, what I'm doing, I have full dedication, full allocation of my laptop for certain application. In cloud, that doesn't happen. In cloud, you can release your resource at any time, and that time you will not be charged. I'll show you how it happens. Faster development with less management of infrastructure, that's very clear. You don't need to manage any networking. You don't need any IT team. You don't need to take care of softwares like machine. It's totally in cloud. It's managed by the cloud team. So it really helps you to do things faster and with less management. So this was bit theoretical knowledge before we start with the AWS cloud computing. So the next slide is, I have just put one this image. It's very famous image. If you move towards cloud, the first one is totally your traditional IT, where in any software you see these are the different block. It happens. We have to take care of networking. You have to take care of database. If the application has database connection, you have to take care of servers where your application is running. In case if your application is running on some VM or some Docker, then you have to take care of virtualization, operating system. There is lots of things you have to take care of in traditional IT. What happens if you move towards cloud? So in cloud, if you start using cloud, this is like the gradual progress of the application. So infrastructure as a service, this could be as a topic in your syllabus. I don't know, at least it was during my bachelor time. So infrastructure as a service, what happens when anybody provides service as an infrastructure? What happens? Part of the system will be taken care by cloud team. For example, here operating system, this lower block will be lower this different colored block that will be taken care by different team, and the upper block will be cared by me. So we'll be seeing this infrastructure as a service in today's demo. We have one demo which explains infrastructure as a service. Platform as a service, again the responsibility reduces from our side in cloud. These lower blocks are handled by cloud team, and I'm just worried about my data and application. And if you use software as a service, this everybody is using Gmail, Facebook, Netflix. These are all software as a service where we are getting the software and we are just using at a service. We don't know behind the scene what is happening. So software as a service is like very famous. Everybody has experience of this, but just we don't know behind the scene what is happening. Okay, great. Okay, I'll just move next to the slide. I think it's enough for theoretical discussion. Let's do more practical session. So before we do hands-on, what we have to do, we will be using, I think, free tier AWS account limit is quite enough to do to understand cloud, AWS cloud. If you understand AWS cloud, it's very easy to understand any other clouds: Azure, Microsoft Azure cloud, IBM cloud, Google cloud. Overall cloud concept is same, so understanding the overall cloud concept is important. If you are very well adjusted into one cloud, it's very easy. I mean, like, it's not difficult to adjust into another cloud. So what you need to do, like, I'm not going through the whole process of this creation of account because it's dummy steps, and I mostly avoid doing dummy steps into session. By the way, if my screen is frozen, if there is any interruption, feel free to speak in the mic or okay, just text of the PPT is too small. Okay, okay, thanks. I'll take care of that. Uh, okay, okay. If I move to the next slide, I'll do that. So what you need to do, this link is as a part of PPT. So you just go to this AWS console, and there is create free account, and they have explained these steps very well. So you do it. The only one thing is AWS account, free account requires card detail. So, well, you in the free tier limit, you can do very all, like, most of the demos you can do, but the best way is, like, as soon as the demo is completed, when you learned everything, try to clean. We'll see today also, when I do every demo, I will clean everything just to make sure that things, you will not be charged. But AWS team, what they do, for safer side, they will take your card details. In case you have used any of the service which is costing, you shouldn't worry much about things, because AWS team always shows you the warning message that this will cost you, so you will stop using that service. But even, like, they have limit for free tier limit. So if you go to just Google, like, AWS free tier services, so they have good explanation, like what different things you can use, like, in free tier. So, like, types of offer, so 12 months free, always free, are like trials, and then this is the limit. Like Amazon EC2 750 hours you can use, S3 bucket you can use for 5 GB. For now, you might not be knowing about these terms, but after today's demo you will know. But make sure when you AWS free tier, when you use free tier, these are the different services which are available as a part of free tier limit, and that's pretty much to get like familiar with AWS. You shouldn't worry much about cost. Okay, so this is the steps. You should create your account, you should provide your card details, and it will take 24 hours to activate your account. Okay, so what I'll do now, in my case, I have created already account, so I'll directly go to AWS console. This is the URL of AWS. So let's go to log back in. In my case, I'll just log in. Okay, so what happens, like, I have already created my account. So how is the visibility of browser? I hope there is no problem. uh, I think I lost the chat box. Okay, never mind, just speak up if these fonts are not visible. So what happens, right? For example, I think I should be able to see here. Okay, okay. So So what happens, like when you create the AWS account for the first time, you will be root user. Okay, so root user will be the one who creates the account, who is the owner of the account. So in my case, I'll be logging first with root user, and this is my email ID. I'll provide my password. So provide my this is my password. Okay. Okay, cool. This is how AWS cloud looks. Okay, so what happens now, uh, uh, like as soon as you have root user, you can get inside the AWS console. Okay, the first thing to be noted here is like you can see all the AWS services available here. All, like they, some of them are as a infrastructure as a service, some of them are software as a service, some of them are platform as a service. Today we are going to see two service, three service. One is EC2. We'll be learning EC2, and then we'll be learning IAM. IAM is this one. We'll be learning IAM, and then we have one more service. We'll be looking around S3 bucket. So we'll cover three services, which is like which will help you to get understanding of cloud and AWS. Okay, so this is a console with all different services, and then after you get inside cloud, the another important thing to be noted is reason. Okay, so this is a different reason, and why we have reason. It's very the answer is very clear. So as I said, like the cloud is nothing but like it's not like something imaginary things. Again, there is data center behind the scene. And what is data center? Data center is nothing but some physical existence of machine or servers, right? So they are like somewhere allocated. Okay, so what AWS team has done, they have put their machines in different region, in different countries. Okay, so what you have to do, whenever you build any software or any service, what you need to do, you need to select the proper region. Okay, it's not like then they have their services, they have their cloud in every country. No, they have their services in some of the country, or in one country they have in multiple location. For example, US has multiple location, and then Asia Pacific, like you can see Mumbai is one of the location. So why I'm explaining about this different reason is that based on your current location, you should select the region which is close to you, and the reason behind that is that brings good performance. If you are in Asia and if you're trying to use somewhere from Europe or from any other country, well, for demo, for local application, for small application, you won't realize the difference. But in real time, when you build any software, for example, if you are working for any corporate or anything, people won't suggest you to go to Europe if you are part of Mumbai or you are part of India. So if you are working in India, then select Mumbai. For example, I am working from Europe. So in Finland, they don't have data center. In Finland, they don't have their office, no, not office, their data center. So I chose Ireland, but again they have opened there. One of the new region is Stockholm, which is near to Finland. It's just next close to Finland. But again, I have reason why I'm not using Europe, because this region is launched last year. So why I'm not using this region, because this region doesn't have all services. Ireland is very like older region, so it has all the services. Now why I'm telling about like services and reason. Okay, so if you go to AWS document, AWS services has AWS services might vary region wise. So they have really good table. So in case if you find like certain services are available in one region and certain services are available in not region, so just come to this page, document, AWS document page, and just try to explore like whether that service is available into this region or not. For example, we are in Asia. So Asia, so you can just check like in Mumbai, what are the different services available or not. But today's whatever service we are going to explore, it's available in all region. So you shouldn't worry about that. Okay, so okay, so let's start our demo. So we have created our account, that is with root user. Okay, the next step is nobody should use root user. Root user is always like the someone who is the top of the like organization or top of the team. So the next process is go to IAM. So this is one of the service we will start exploring. So what is IAM? So like if any website or any application, for example, Gmail, Facebook, you create or any account, there is entry point. You need credentials, right, to access those application. So I am the root user now, and what suppose I am leading one team, which is there are 10 users in my team. There are 10 developers, and all the 10 developers wants to work on cloud, and they wants to build software for each other. So I'm the root user. So what I'm going to do, so the identity and access management, as the term explains, it manages the different identities and permission for the user within cloud. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to create an user. So my first user. Okay. uh, what is the access type like? So programmatic access type and AWS management console access type. So I'll just check both of them, and I'll let you know what is the use of both of them. This is like this UI, the UI which I'm seeing now, this URL, when I'm hitting this URL, this website which I'm seeing now, that is known as AWS management console. So for this user, I want that user to be logged in into this UI also, the application which I'm running now. And I also want programmatic access. I'll explain this with AWS CLI later. So let's select the custom password. So I'll just give my password. I don't want to recreate the password again. I just want to use my password same time. Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to set permission anything. We'll come back to permission later. Okay. Tax. What is tax? Tax are again plays very important role when you have multiple people working on the same cloud. For example, in my case, I suppose I have 10 developers. I'm going to have 10 users, and all the 10 different users are doing different activities in this cloud, like using different services, creating the different multiple machines. So how will you identify? So what I'll do, the tags are the one they are used to identify. So for example, you can use any kind of tags like key pair. For example, I'll just add as a department as a IT. So you will understand that whoever have created this user, he's from IT department. Okay. So the user has no permission. That's perfect. We'll come back to you permission later. Okay. So the user has been created. Okay. Now this is another important things. This is credential file. So every user, when you create a user into AWS cloud, every user will be assigned with some credentials so that they can use. So there are two types of credentials, as I was explaining in the previous slide. Uh, okay, let me download this first, and I'll close because you shouldn't share with anybody, and that's why I should close this immediately. It's fine, you can see this key, but it's another key is not visible, so I should close this immediately because that's best practice. Even if you're teaching someone, even if you're like doing any demos, you shouldn't show these keys to anyone. Both of them are very secrets. Okay, so now what is that key? The previous screen was nothing but the credentials of one user, and how that looks. If I can't open this file, but I have the format how that file looks. That file looks like something like this. If I open that file will have these two lines of code. The file will have username and password, which I gave, and the access key ID and secret access key. You should save this credentials file somewhere in your local, and you will be using it later. Access key ID and access secret key, that we will see how to will be using as a programmatic way. For now, we'll use username and password. And when you get this file, you can just log in into this. You will get a URL also. Okay, now I'll be running this cloud in as using root account, which is this one, as well as the my first user account, just to explain like how to manage different roles and permission. So this is now I'm going to log in with the user which I just created now. Okay, so account ID will be populated automatically. So what is user? My first user. Just provide the password. So password will be the password I gave. Okay, so this is the best practice. So now I have my first user, being a team leader of my team. What I did, I created a user for my first my one of the member of my team. Okay, that was the user creation. Now this is not enough. What we need now? Okay, we'll move to the next service. So next service is now EC2. So now I'm going to do all the demos from this user, and and I'll show you like how this user we cannot use for certain things, how we are lacking different permissions. Okay, so so we saw like user management. Any system, any kind of software application requires users and permission. So we are still into that module. We'll be exploring more about that module more. So let's move to the like cloud computing concept. I was explaining like physical data center, physical server. Where is that in cloud? Okay, so that is in cloud known as this is the one of the service known as Elastic Computing Cloud. And what is EC2? What is EC2? Okay, EC2 is nothing but Elastic Computing Cloud. It is also called as machine in cloud. It can be Windows machine, it can be Linux machine, it can be like any kind of machine with different operating system. And how we create that machine into cloud, we'll go through that steps now. Okay, so just understand EC2 is nothing but the full form of EC2 is Elastic Computing Cloud. Okay, let's go to EC2. If I go to running instances, I'll see like there is no running instances, of course, and also you see you are not authorized to perform this operation. An error occurred while fetching instance data. Okay, that's true because let's go back to now root account. Okay, now if you go to root account, this is my root user. I hope there is no okay, what is difference between root user and IAM? Okay, I'll be answering all the question later. Later I finish the session. Okay, so now this is I'm in root user. Okay, now what I did through root user, I just created one user, and this user doesn't have any permission to do in cloud, AWS cloud. Okay, that's why if you go and if you when I was trying to see any machine if it's running in cloud, I couldn't see any machine. Okay, so this is like we are lacking some permission. So how to give the permission? Okay, so let's move to permission here. So how we manage different permission? uh, just 1 second. I'm sorry, yeah, it's my cat. It's summer here and he's screaming he wants to go outside. Okay, so we were at the user and permission. So I have my first user and he's lacking the permission. So how to provide the permission? So now permission can be provided by different ways. Either you can add permission directly like this, or I'll explain you the best way of managing the permission in AWS cloud, how people do it. Okay, so before that we can create a group. So as I said, like I'm part of team A. So team A is like a group name. Okay, and let's just create the group. Okay, okay, now add permission to. So what I'm doing now, I'm adding permission to this user via group. And why did I create group? So what happens, like I have 10 members in my team, and what I can do, like I can put all the 10 members into this same group so that everybody will share the same permission. Otherwise, what you will need to do, you have to attach permission separately to each user. I can show you like how you can do. First we'll do, so how you can attach the permission directly is like this. So I use this one, add like a create group. You can do directly also. You can directly go here, and in my case I'll just look around EC2 permission here. But this is like tedious task. Why? Because if in future you are creating one more user, and if that user is lacking the permission, then again you have to come to this place and you have to add permission. So rather than doing it like one by one for every user, you should do it in group. So what you can do now, so I have groups here. I'll just go into this group and I'll attach policy. So what is needed now, EC2, for example, I can just give this is the permission. So, or let's just give the only the less permission, because that is highly suggested for people who are doing who work on the cloud. Always deal with the least privileged. That's the best practice. You shouldn't give the broader permission to the user, because if you give the broader permission, user may like play with your permission, or he might delete data, or he might do something more than that. He can play with your permission. So let's do this, assign this read-only permission. So now there is groups. I created group. Under group, I have this permission. Now if you see under this group, I have put my user. So in short, I have my user should have this permission. So let's go and then try to see now EC2. Now if I see running instances, okay, now I don't see that error, right? You are not authorized. That error is no more coming now. Great, because now I give the permission. So this is how gradually I'll be like adding permission to the user, and I'll be doing the more operation one by one. Okay, because this is at the start of the AWS, you should know how to manage permission and how to manage roles, how to manage users. That's the start of AWS, any cloud. Okay, so now what I was saying, like in cloud, like we have the machines on the remote server on the cloud. So let's create one machine on cloud, AWS cloud. I'm going to create a Linux machine. Okay, so you see, I have this free tier eligible. So when you are dealing with free tier, so you always will be getting some some label here. So you should use only those free tier eligible EC2s, because other machines are like they are really good configuration machine, and that's going to charge you. Okay, so let's use the first one, and you can read more about the machine. So these are nothing but the machine with certain operating system, with certain configuration, like RAM and hard disk. How we say about RAM and hard disk in cloud, we'll see like when we configure the machine. Okay, select. Okay, now if I go instance detail, okay, you see still I'm lagging on permission here. Okay, because the user which I created now, that user just have one permission to view the EC2 or instance detail. Okay, let's go back to root user account. So why I'm switching from root user account to user specific, my first user is, this is how it works in the real world. All the permissions are managed by root user always. So now what I'll go, I'm not doing anything on user level. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to assign permission to the groups. Okay, now just go and see if there is something on IAM. Okay, IAM read only policy. Let's attach this policy. Okay, now if I just refresh your screen, now see. Okay, great, that error is gone now. Okay, I won't be going much detail into this screen. We'll be seeing user data in next demo. So what I'll do now, many of the fields are like you should keep as it is default. I'll be explaining the VPC and subnet and networking into next higher advanced session. For now, just understand like this is kind of a network where my machine is going to be placed by AWS team, and that I can access from the internet. So just understand this as a one network. We'll go into depth into next upcoming session. Okay. So you want to install start only one machine, that is fine. Okay, and rest of the fields is you can just keep as it is. Next, add storage. Okay, this label is nothing but the hard disk. What kind of hard disk you want for, like storage you want for your cloud machine. So now, for example, in free tier, you shouldn't change use any higher configuration. Just go ahead with this option. 8 GB is much more than enough. Okay, add tag, this is same as I explained before. So you can just mention like department, or you can just use any kind of tag. Okay, then security group, will come to this later. For now, just keep this as it is. Okay, now I'm going to I'm expecting like I shouldn't have rights to launch this instance. It should fail. Okay, but before that, you should, I'll just create new user. So I think I'll I have already so what is this key pair? Key pair is nothing but, so we are doing everything from UI now. Okay, so what if like I have to like go to the machine from my laptop and see what are the different things happening inside machine. How can I access the cloud machine which is already which I am creating now? So during that time we'll be using this key. So for now I'll just create this key, and you can use this key multiple times. So my first demo user, I'll just download this key. Okay, you see, I don't have permission to even download key pair. So this was, I was just showing all these failures just for one reason. I just want to show you like how you can't do anything without proper permission. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to remove the read only permission from here. So I'm going to directly assign EC2 full access. So EC2 full access. So okay, now EC2 full access will give me, I should now it shouldn't break for me because I have full access for EC2. So I can create the instance, I can create like a key pair and everything, but it will take some time to refresh the screen. So let's go back previous and let's do now. Okay, my key wasn't created, so let's create a new key pair, download it. Okay, you see now there is no it's not breaking because I have given enough permission to my user. So launch instances. Okay, great. Now we are about to launch one of the Linux machine into cloud. And how we can see that machine? You just come to EC2. You can see like running instance. Okay, you can see like it's getting launched. It's initializing. It's pending. So it will take some time. Okay, just wait for the status to change. Okay. Meanwhile, what you can do is like here are the different details of that machine which we are launching into cloud. Okay, not all of them is mandatory. Okay, so some of them is like you should know about this public DNS, private DNS, public DNS and public IP. And then private IP is something not like you won't be accessing from the internet. And then I'll be going through security groups. What is a security group? We'll see. And yeah, pretty much for today's demo you should know about these 2-3 fields. Okay, so what we did now, we did first task, like we used an AWS EC2 service, Elastic Computing Cloud. That is nothing but the machine in the cloud. So I'm creating one Linux machine in cloud. Let's wait for some time. Okay, I hope like there is no interruption. Okay, now let's go back to our slide. So we had this like we did free trial setup. I'll come to this putty and CLI soon. So these are like some softwares we need to download. Okay, so we saw IAM, how IAM will be used to manage different users, permission, and everything, and reason and availability zone. So what is reason and availability zone? As I already explained about reason. Okay, as I already explained about reason. So every reason has like a data center launched by every AWS team. So what happens now? You can't have like you can just consider one availability zone as a one data center. You remember I was talking about disaster, earthquake or something. So that even AWS team, even being in cloud, AWS team has taken care of that disaster. So what they have done, they have multiple data center in one region. So this is one data center, this is second data center, and this is third data center. So what is the best practice? Whenever you do anything in cloud, try to have your softwares deployed into at least two of the data center. In short, it's availability zone. Where can I see this availability zone? Okay, you see, we have it here. You see, in Ireland region, we have 3 availability zone. And when I was creating the instance, I have to choose this availability zone. For now, what I did, I have only one availability zone. So my machine is running only in one data center. I don't need to run, because if the multiple machines are like, if you launch this machine into multiple region, that will be helpful for disaster recovery and everything. But for now, we are doing just demo. So I just launched into one region. Okay, great. Now you see, my instance is already running. Okay, but now you must be wondering like, okay, this machine is running, what to do next? How can I access this machine? How can I go inside and what can I do with that? Okay, now the next thing comes into picture is uh, like how can I access that machine? So you need to download this software, Putty. The putty is like one of the software which is used to communicate with instances running on remote server or cloud. Okay, and who will help me to connect to this machine? How can I connect to this machine and I can install my software, I can do something? Okay, you remember I downloaded this file. I just downloaded this file when I was creating the machine. So this is user specific file again. This file will be, so just remember we are downloading two files. The previous file is user credentials file that will have username password to log in into this UI, and that also will have one more credential we'll see later. This file is just used for connecting to the machines, AWS machine. Okay, so how can you do that? Okay, you need to first install Putty, and steps are very simple. Just go here and download and you can do it. Okay, so once you install Putty, so there are in Putty there are two softwares. So first we need to open this Putty generator. I think you know about RSA algorithm, private key and public key communication. So this is RSA algorithm only. So what is happening now? This file is nothing but private key. This is my own private key, and AWS has my public key. So this machine can be accessed by only user who has corresponding private key. So this machine cannot be accessed by anybody else unless until the person doesn't have this file. Okay, so what I'm going to now, I'm going to Putty supports in a different extension. So I'm just going to convert into the Putty format. So what I'm going to do, going to go load. I'm going to select all files, and then I'll select this one, my first demo user. Okay, great. And now save private key. So what I'm doing, I'm just converting file from .pem to .ppk. This is very commonly used steps in real-time IT industry. We do like this is very basic for IT industry or software industry, just so it will be helpful for you people when you move to job. Okay, so ppk. So I'll just save it with the same name, but with ppk format. So why did I convert to ppk? Because Putty understands ppk format. Okay, let's go to now Putty. Okay, so previous software was Putty generation. That was converting the Putty file, and now next software is to connect to the remote machine. How do I connect? Okay, so all the AWS machines are like launched with username EC2 user at the rate, and then you should go to your machine which you have created, copy this one, and then paste it here, and then you go to SSH. So this much detail is not enough to connect to your remote machine, because we need something to authenticate if the user is correct. Okay, so this is the right user file. Okay, upload it now. Okay, great. Now I am into my machine. You see, this is one kind of Linux machine. You can run any kind of software here, any kind of Linux command. Okay, now it's updating my Linux machine here. Okay, so what I'm going to now, I'm going to do a short demo. I'm going to install Apache, and I'm going to launch Apache from this cloud. So the next step would be I'm just copying pasting this command. So this is nothing but like installing Apache service. So let's just copy it. So okay, it's done. Let's install Apache. Okay, let's start the Apache service. Sudo. Okay, started. These are, don't worry about this command. This is not part of AWS cloud. These are basic Linux command to run and start the Apache service. Okay, okay, so started. Okay, now Apache by default starts on port 80, and curl is again like one of the Linux command to hit HTTP URL. So curl, just check if the Apache is started or not on 80 port. You see some kind of HTML. That means Apache is running into cloud. But you will say like, okay, this doesn't look good. I want to access it, this Apache service from website. How can I access it? Okay, so let's do that one. So how can you access any softwares running within cloud? You have to use like public DNS. So for the external user, this machine is like this. For me, it's this machine is known as is identified by this one, and its private IP is here. So we never deal with private IP. We always deal always dealing with private public IP, sorry, public IP or public DNS. You can use either of them. Okay, let's go and hit 80 port of this machine. Okay, now it's not running and it won't run. I'll tell you the reason why it's not running. Because now let's come to the next concept of security group. So what happened, like you remember I was talking about firewall. Firewall is the one of the important things which monitors the traffic of incoming traffic and outgoing traffic. So AWS also has a security group for many of their services, which monitors incoming traffic and outgoing traffic. Okay, so in our case, it's managed by security group. And if you go to security group here, let's open the security group. And if you see the security group, if you see the security groups here, the inbound rule, let's go to the inbound rule, the incoming traffic. The security groups here says no traffic is allowed except SSH at port 22. This is the traffic which we send now from Putty. So if you remember when I was configuring the Putty, port number was 22 and it was SSH. So that's why I was able to access this machine from Putty, but no more traffic is allowed. That's why this website is not running. Okay, how do I add the traffic? It's pretty simple. Just go here, and now what I'm doing, I'm accessing HTTP. Okay, and let's select my IP. So at least my laptop will be able to access this software, or you can add anywhere, anybody. So this website will be public for everyone. So just add, save rules. Okay, now let's go and refresh. See, Apache is up and running and I can access my Apache application. What I'll do now, okay, so this is like a pretty small demo for launching the application or installing any software. So you can just assume, like, if you have any requirement, if you have anything like you have to deal with AWS cloud machine, and if you have any software, any website to be deployed, you can do in the similar way. You can just use any normal Linux command, whatever you do on your local laptop or a machine, you can just replicate it here. Try to see if the security group has proper configuration or not. Try to see if there is traffics are allowed or not. If everything is fine, then you should be able to access this machine. Okay, now what is the cloud concept here? How it is different than the local machine or doing things on my local? Okay, the concept is here. So this machine can be released at any time. What does it mean by releasing? Releasing means as soon as my purpose is done, or suppose my website is used only daytime, and nighttime I don't want to use my machine. So I can release this machine. That is not possible in physical machine, right? Physical data center. Physical data centers are kind of dedicated machines to the certain person, and that person has to pay for the whole time, whole hours. That is the benefit we have. That is something we get advantage, and that is something disadvantage in data center or dedicated machine. In cloud we have that option, as we can just go, for example, in my case, if this machine is not used, I can just go and stop the machine, or else I can just terminate the machine and relaunch the machine next time, and I can just run the software. And so what happens, like, you can release this machine at any time, and this machine then will be available in pool. So there is like a common pool of instances that gets allocated randomly to random person. Okay, so what I'll do now, I'll just explain about instance life cycle, some of the life cycle of instance. So you can go and you can just stop the instance. So what do you mean by like stopping the instance? So stopping the instance is like kind of shut down your laptop or desktop. It's kind of the operation we do in our laptop or machine. Okay. So now there is question like, sir, like you stop this EC2 instance. Does it mean like I'm not going to get charged? Okay, I'll explain that soon. Okay. So now see, as soon as I stop the machine, my putty connection has been disconnected. I'm no more allowed to access that machine. Okay, cool. So I'll just close that machine. Okay, cool. That's stopped. Okay. So now the question comes, in AWS or in any cloud computing, there are charges at different level. Okay. In this case, the charge is happening, at least the charge, it's not charging me at instance level. But you remember what happens now? This is machine is stopped, but there is hard disk. You remember I selected one volume. I'll show you here if I can find it. Yeah. So this is my hard disk. So stopped machine can be restarted again, and my application is still there. My software, whatever Apache service I installed in this machine, that machine is still there. If I go and start, then everything will be there. It won't be lost. So because of that, it's happening because the cloud is still cloud have still kept my hard disk, my EBS, that's called as block storage, elastic block storage. What when you stop the EC2 instance, cloud team still assigns you and this hard disk kind of things to your machine. And that is the reason when I go and start my software, it will be up and running. So in this case, what will happen in real time, there will be small charges only for this, because there is some dedicated the hard disk assigned to your instance. If you don't want any charges, just go and terminate this machine. So once you terminate, this machine will be totally released. After some time, this machine won't be available here, so you will lose everything. So this is kind of, but in real time, what happens, like mostly people buy like this kind of dedicated machines, and based on the need. So that's why, like, it's not like it's totally free of cost. I'm just explaining it from your demoing purpose. When you practice AWS, just try to, like, as soon as you studied something, demo is done, just terminate the instance. But in real time, people just try to, like, I have been doing some practice. I mostly stop because I just want to have my softwares and everything to be launched again. But it's fine for me, like it's a small charge, but the charge is lesser than the charge when when you get from the dedicated data center or dedicated machine, when you are allocated to yourself. Okay, so this was about the instance life cycle. This was about the EC2, and I just explained about how you can run any small Linux, like any software. In my case, I just explained about the Apache service. Okay, let's go and check if anybody is facing any problem. Okay, great. There is no problem. There are some questions. I'll come back to the questions soon. Okay, so we saw, like, IAM, we saw user, and we saw region availability zone, we saw EC2 instances, how it's working. So in EC2 instances, I also want to explain one of the more important concept. So let's go back to EC2 instance. I think soon this should go away. Okay, it's great. It's terminated, but it won't go away immediately. You have to wait for some more time. Okay, let's launch one more instance. I just want to explain one more thing. So the steps are pretty repeated, and it's good. You can understand again. So this is like free tier eligible, and you must be wondering, sir, what is the another options? We have lots of checkbox. We have lots of things. What is the purpose of that? Okay, this UI is nothing but like you say, like you have like a 60 GB, you have this much RAM configuration, you have this configuration of machine is really good, graphics card is it has graphics card. So this UI is nothing but that. So this UI tells you, like, the different machine and the different configuration. Okay, so the stronger the configuration, stronger will be charge. The AWS team is going to charge you like huge cost. So this UI is for that. So in real time, people, when they have softwares, when they build any application, if the software is very big complex, so they just go and try to see, like, which one has the good configuration, good EBS, good hard disk, and good RAM and everything. For our purpose, we are just going to use free tier eligible. Okay, and let's come back to this configure instance. And I said, like, this is kind of one network where my AWS team is placing my instance. I'll show you the data center. I hope if I can see. Okay, this is the data center. So if you don't choose, default will be chosen. And this is the data center I was telling. So you can place your instance into, like, one of them, or you don't. If you don't choose, then it will be selected by default. So this is like data center I was talking. it's mainly helpful for disaster recovery. Okay, the rest of the fields are pretty same. We are not going to modify. Yes, I want to explain about this block. So what I did in the previous demo, I launched an instance. After launching the instance, I went inside instance and I ran this command. So now the question is there any provision like, for example, can I just launch it some of the shell script by default when the instance is getting launched? Yes, you can do it. The user data is nothing but that. So you can just copy all the Linux command and you can place it here. So what will happen now when the instance is getting started, when the instance is getting launched, this script will be run automatically and your machine will have already softwares running there. Okay, so there are like certain there are in real IT's project when we deal with, this is very helpful. So we have requirement like there is EC2 instance, that EC2 instance should have already some of the software installed. Like people doesn't want to go and explicitly install that software separately manually. They just want to have those softwares already. So this is how you can do. Okay, cull command, I think it's not needed. Okay, make sure you have this bash script on the top, bash command. Okay, next, add storage. This is again just understand this as a hard disk which has 8 GB allocation. So this is free quota. Feel free to use. Again, we can have just like department something IT, and then okay, now we know what is security group. Security groups is nothing but the firewall kind of things which monitors the traffic to your EC2 instance. So I know like my Apache is running on 80 port, so I'm going to add already Apache 80 port here. Now I'll tell what I'll do. I'll just assign IP address. So /32 means there is only one IP can access this machine, nobody else. Okay, review and so last screen is nothing but the review screen. You can just review everything and you can launch. Okay, so this is a key user. You can just select the same. You don't need to create every time. Once you create, you can reuse again and just launch the instance. So now what will happen? I won't be going inside explicitly inside the EC2 instance and running the Linux command. As soon as machine is ready, I should be able to access the software or the Apache service. I'm sorry, Apache service. So it won't be running now because machine is still initializing. So let's wait for some time. Okay, let's wait some more time. It's initializing. Okay, let's go back to so we saw security groups. We saw like SSH to EC2 instance. So SSH is nothing but accessing the cloud instance or cloud machine from local. So we saw that one. We saw lifecycle, terminate, start, and stop. We are seeing now AWS user data. AWS CLI. Okay, now coming back to the files we downloaded. So when we create a user, we always download two files. One of them I explained already. Sorry, let's go to download. So one of them I explained already. This PEM file is nothing but the key file. And the key file is just used to access AWS service from local laptop. And for example, in my case, it was like I use Putty to connect to AWS. This file which we got like when we were creating user. So when you are creating user, we got this file and the content of this file is like this: username, password, access. So out of these four fields, you see comma separated fields, two of them we used, username and password. The another two fields we haven't used. Okay, I'll explain the use of that file, and that is called as, that is mainly used for AWS CLI. Okay, so what happens I'll close this one. So before AWS CLI is nothing but a command line tool where you can manage AWS services using different commands. Okay, so now what AWS team has done, AWS team has built different AWS command. You know, if you remember in last session, we had different Docker command. We can run Docker command and we can see the output. Similarly, AWS team has built different AWS command, which does quite many operation which we can do from UI. Okay, so when you deal with AWS command, for example, we have one. Let me show you the. So this is a CLI command documents. So we have lots of AWS CLI command. So what we can do through commands, we can see what is within the cloud. So for example, if I'm running AWS EC2 describe hosts, so what will happen now? Without even going to the UI. So for example, without going to this UI, without accessing the UI, you can monitor everything from the command line tool. But okay, that is CLI. But now there is question: how come this my machine, my laptop knows I should go to that AWS console? How I should go to that account, because AWS has account. Every users are placed into some account. How does my laptop knows? Because this is like a machine, this is like my local laptop. How does it know like where to go and where to hit this command? Okay, for that we need these two: access key ID and secret access key. They play role. So these two keys, access key ID and a secret access key, they help you to connect to the AWS cloud and access the AWS services from this AWS command. Okay, now where do we define this file? Where do we define this AWS access key and secret key? Okay, so what you can do, for that you need to install AWS CLI as explained in this document. You can go to this AWS CLI and you can download. The steps are pretty simple, so you can do it by yourself. So as soon as you do AWS CLI, just go and check AWS version. So it should show the version of the AWS CLI. Okay, and this is not pretty much enough. After you install AWS CLI, you will get in a directory into your C users, and your this one and .aws will have this credentials file. I'm not going to open this credentials file because that's not best practice to show credentials to anybody else, but I have demo example how that credentials files looks. The credential files looks like this. Okay, so in that file, go in that file, put configure this whatever the region you are working. If you are working in Asia Pacific Mumbai, so you can get the region from there, and access key and secret key should be from the file we downloaded. So this is the file, this is the content of this file. If I open this file, it will look like this. So you should just copy paste access key and secret key here. Okay, that's pretty enough for AWS CLI to work. Okay, so what in my case it's already done. So what I'll do now, I'll just run AWS EC2 describe hosts. It should describe the hosts running on there. Okay, there are no hosts running. Okay, so now, okay, so now this I forgot to do one steps because I downloaded I downloaded this file which I have downloaded this. Sorry, where is download folder? Okay, I should go because I created new user, remember, and that instance is created by this new user. So what I'll do now, I need to stop screen sharing for a time being because okay, it's fine. Let's copy paste quickly. So just go to your users, but make sure you don't do this. Don't share your credentials to anybody. It's anyway, it's hard to read. And then you get this one. Okay. Now I should be able to see at least one host here. Okay. Now again, describe host is missing because this user doesn't have again authorization. We are missing the permission for this user. So what I'll do, I'll go back to my console, go back to root user. So this is my root user here. So my first user has permission of full access, okay, and it's part of group. So I should be able to see this. Okay, let me go back to credential file. So this is happen if you are not configuring the right credential file. Okay, or maybe I can just go to users and I can create new credentials. I'm not sure if that credentials is still in use. So create access key. So you can do like this if the access you lost your keys. I mean like that is the responsibility of root user. So they can create like this. Okay, it's in Ireland. Okay, so now at least the permission issue got fixed and we have the empty host. Okay, let's run the another AWS CLI command. So go back to AWS CLI. So this is how, like, I'm just explaining, like, apart from just UI interaction, you can run different AWS CLI command. So for example, which one I should use? Let's use AWS describe images. So aws.ec2. So it's going to describe different images on cloud. Okay, it will take time because it's describing all the images available on cloud. Okay, so meanwhile, let's go back to this instance we created before. So now what I did here, I use any user data. I didn't do anything from account. Okay, so this is like a significance of user data. You can like launch an instance already with some script which will be executed during the launch of instance. Okay, so okay, it's still taking time. Okay, we'll come back to here later. So going back to slide here. So CLI is like one of the command which we use most of the time to perform a command line operation. So identity user group we did, and then we have EC2. We saw like EC2 how we can have your machines running on the cloud and everything. Next is S3. Okay. So I'll just now, as soon as you're done your operation, another thing I wanted to tell is like in AWS, like as soon as like you stop your machine, so this public IP will be lost. So you won't be getting the same public IP. So for example, if I'm running my website here, so what I'm doing now, during daytime, I'm having my website up and running, and during nighttime, I'm going and launch like stopping the instance so that nighttime cost will be saved to me, saved, my cost will be saved. So in that case, you need to go to your website and explicitly change this URL, because, or maybe we can just see like if I just stop it, you will see like private IP will be there as it is, but public IP will be changed. So let's stop it. It will be like empty. So make sure like this is a problem with stopping the instance. And what is the solution? Solution is load balancer. That is like part of the next AWS session. We'll do that one later. So load balancer is like one domain kind of mapping your website to or machine to one certain domain, so that your website will be launched under that domain every time, and you don't need to modify the domain every time. So this will be empty now. And if I launch again, I don't know if I copied the IP address. It's here. So let's launch it again. So if I launch it again, this public IP will be changed. So that is something you should know about public IP in. Okay, so you see the public IP is totally different than the previous one. The previous IP was this one. So now this IP is changed. So this is happens when you stop the EC2 machines. Okay, so next is AWS S3. What is S3 bucket? Okay, so coming back to my root user. So okay, so coming back to root user. So what I'm going to do now, before I explain about S3 bucket or what is AWS S3. So what is AWS S3 is nothing but you know the cloud storage. If someone has used Google Drive or something, so what is like, it's like something where you can upload your files and you can store your files. It's something like that. It's pretty same as like that, but it's a bit different. It's more like towards software development side, not like towards Google Drive like you for user experience. No. So what is like simple S3 bucket is nothing but like it's popularly known as infinitely scaling storage. It grows like as much as it has like really good growth or like good storage space that is given by AWS team. That is the one of benefit. So another is like it has like bucket. It seems to be like bucket, and under that bucket you can store on a files that is known as object. Okay, we'll do this hands on, and buckets are defined at the region level. So let's go. Okay, now you see it's running. It was horrible AWS CLI command. It's showing me lots of images available into that account. Because if I go to one region, so I ran that command. Sorry, I ran command this against this user. So this Ireland region has lots of images. Now what is image? Image is nothing but every EC2 instances are launched from image. You know, even in case of virtual machine, we launch our virtual machine from some image, right, from some CD or something. So in cloud also, like every machine has every when you launch any instance, every instance belong to some image, and that image is like image detail there, like this is image. So now Ireland has lots of image. All images are getting listed in this command. So this is CLI. So I'll just stop it. Okay, it's okay. I just stopped it. It's of no use to show. But this was like the demo, just show you like you can run multiple AWS command, and you can just like view different things from the cloud. Even you can create instance, you can delete instance from this AWS CLI. And how to get those command? Those commands are very well explained into this document. I opened this AWS. So if you want to know about create instance from command, and it's real-time scenario, you must be wondering like why anybody would go to this command line tool and do this operation. Well, you might be wondering now, because in real-time project, in real-time industry, these clouds are like the UI access is not given to everyone. UI access are given to only specific people. So they always ask you to manage from the command line tool. So they will give you permission, and they will ask you to just run from here and do whatever you want. And of course your permission will be monitored by them. So if you see here, they have lots of command. For example, if you wanted to create image, you can create image. Let's see if there is. Okay, create instance, create image, create instance, export tasks. You can just create key pair also, you can do. Okay, but there are lots of command you can run, and they are really like nice document. For example, if I see delete command, for example, delete key pair. So if you go inside that, so you should have like AWS space EC2, and then you should fire this command. And if you don't fire this command, I mean, like this is mandatory value, and after that you can have optional value. So for example, in my case, when I ran this command, AWS EC2 describe image, the next parameter I would have given as a image name. So it will list only like one image detail. Okay, so this was pretty like just to explain you what is AWS CLI. Okay, now going back to EC3, sorry, S3 bucket. Yeah, I'll send all links later. Okay, so how does S3 bucket looks? go to S3. Okay, this is how it looks. But now I'm in root user. Okay, so let's go back to the user credentials I have. So let's go back here, S3. Okay. Okay, you see now access denied. So what was the intention was like this user, I'm my first user like is one of the my team member, and he mentioned me like he just want to work on some of the Linux machine in cloud. So the question is very clear, right? Why would I give access to S3 bucket? I won't give access to S3 bucket. Okay, after 1 month or 2 months, person came to me and he said like, okay, I have requirement to upload some file into S3 bucket, can you give me access to S3 bucket? Okay, then what root user will go, root user will do, he will go to IAM, he will go to IAM and he will go to users. Okay, now my first user belongs to team A, so he will go directly into team A and he will add the policy there. Okay, so let's give S3. So for now we can just give S3 read-only access. So now the policy is available under team A, so that policy then automatically gets applied to all the user here. Okay, now if I go and select again S3 bucket, you see I can at least view the view bucket. I can see because I have given read only permission. Who? Not me, I'm in the root user. I can just read the read bucket. But what if I want to create bucket? Let's do. Okay, you can read some more detail here. The every bucket has some naming convention, and the maximum you can upload 5 GB. But if you're uploading more than 5 GB size, then 5 terabyte is like the size of the big file, but that will be uploaded into multi-part. So for now it's fine. Just like don't think too much about that. If it's like more than 5 GB, then you have to upload into multi-part upload, and the maximum size is 5 terabyte. That's pretty big. So let's create. Okay, now okay. Okay, before this, I just wanted to tell one more thing. So if I go to most of the AWS services are region wise, okay? And if you go to S3 bucket, you see S3 bucket is not, S3 doesn't require a region selection. So S3 bucket is kind of global service, but when you create, it's somehow mapped to region. It's not like region, it's doesn't require region selection, that's true. But when you go and create here bucket, it will be mapped to certain region, and the reason is its reason is like when for example, can you see this bucket which was created in Mumbai, like I created for Mumbai region, but still I can see that bucket here, even being like my user belongs to like Ireland. I was doing everything in Ireland, but still I can see like a bucket from Mumbai. So it's not region specific, but for internally to manage different buckets, they have mapped to region. So what I'll do now, my first bucket demo. Okay, so I'll map it to you Ireland. So key pair is again something you can give what you want. Okay, just keep the block public access enabled. Create bucket. Now it should break. See, access denied. So gradually what we'll do, so that's totally depends on the user's requirement, what user wants to have. So what I'll do now, instead of having like read only access, I'll just detach this policy, and I'll say like, okay, this person wants to have a wants to work with all kind of things, so you can just go and have a full access to this bucket. Okay, now you go and try just previous. I hope the policy should be refreshed. Okay, now let's create again policy. When you change the policy, sometime it takes some time to get update into the user. So let's go. You can put here I'll just keep block public access enabled. Okay, now I am allowed to create the bucket because I have the permission to do that one. Okay, the how like this is how it looks. And if I open the bucket, so this is one bucket. Under that bucket you can have object. So what can be the object? So you can upload anything in the object. So what I'll do now, so what I'm going to do now is like I'm going to use S3 bucket as a host to host my static website. So what I'll do now, I'll create here one folder as images. So save, and under images I'll go and upload image. Okay, so soon you will see your success. Okay, image is there. Now upload. Okay, who is there? Okay, add file, then go here, add this static web page. Okay, okay, now this is like pretty a small website kind of things. I have index page, I have images. Okay, now the thing is like when you create S3 bucket, things are protected. If you go to permission, you see block public access, because if I go here and if I click on this, you will get the URL here. If I click on this, well, this I can open. When I open this one, it will open. It gives me access because it's very long URL and it has like authentication. It has token which gives me access. But if I click on this, it will say access denied. Yeah, because I'll tell you why it's happening. So let's go to permission. So what we are doing now, we are hosting a public website here. Sorry, go to bucket, go to permission. So I'm hosting a website, and so I'll just go here and I'll remove this block all public settings, and I'll just confirm. Okay, but this is not enough. If you read, public access is granted to buckets and object through ACL, which is this one. Will not go much depth into this one, but we'll go through bucket policy. So even after you enable or you like put this off, still things will not work. Let's check. If you click on this, okay, it's still access denied. So what we need to do next is we need to define a bucket policy. Go to permission, sorry, bucket policy. That was object permission. So if I go here, bucket policy, and if you go to policy generator, so now this is a policy generator. You select S3 bucket policy, allow. Principal is nothing but like ARN, or like I'll put just star. So everybody, I just want my website to be accessed by everyone. And I'll just have what I want to do. I just want the person to get object. So just select get object from here. Okay. And ARN, the ARN of bucket you will get from here. What is ARN, by the way? Okay, what happens in the world of Amazon cloud? Every service, every object in AWS is tracked by ARN, and it's known as Amazon resource name. If you go to even users, the users which I created here, if you go to even users which I created here, my user is also identified by some ID, some ARN. So this is how one AWS service knows another AWS service. So this is known as ARN, Amazon resource name. Okay, so for bucket also we have resource, that is this one. And what I'll do, I'll put, I just want all the content of this bucket to be accessible slash star. Okay, I hope everything is there. And this will generate JSON policy, JSON structure. I'll just copy it and paste it here. Okay, and save it. So you see now this Policy is quite like self-explanatory. What we are telling, action is S3 get object, effect is allow, and resource is like my first bucket demo. This resource we want to allow, and principle is like anybody can access it. Okay. After this, at least I can open my file. Let's see if I can access this file URL. You see, the file is opening now. But what I wanted to now, I wanted to host a static website on the S3 bucket. For that, nobody is going to share you this URL. Okay. For that, there is one properties. Go to S3 bucket. Sorry, go to S3 bucket here and go to static website hosting. Use this bucket as to host a website and mention here. Make sure your bucket root bucket directory has index.html file. So in my case, I have placed it here in my bucket root directory. There is index.html file. And if I go to properties, if I go to this, so it will generate one URL. And if you click on this URL, okay. And this URL can be shared with anyone. And this is kind of your static website hosting for you for any kind of website. So what is the use case of S3 bucket? S3 bucket is like, as the name suggests, its main use is only for storage, and its use is also for disaster recovery, taking the backups of the software application and storing it here. So it's pretty much like mostly used as a storage space. And if you go back to slide here, so yeah, mainly uses to host a website, can be used as integration storage space. So real-time use case, as I can explain about this, is like there are like online website where user uploads their picture. So the picture is, if the application is running in Amazon cloud, so mostly people are using S3 bucket. So uploaded pictures will are stored into the S3 bucket. So any kind of online website where you upload PDF, you upload any kind of documents, there people are using S3 bucket as a storage space to store the data, store the files or data or anything. Okay, that was pretty much for S3 bucket. Okay, so AWS link. Sorry, Saurabh, what kind of AWS link you're looking for? Or maybe you can reply in chat. You mean the tutorial, or you want EC2 console link? Just message in the chat box. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to tell about IAM one more thing. So going back to uh, the home page. So I was saying like every services, most of the services in AWS clouds are like region wise. Okay, but if you go and check, even like we spoke about S3 bucket, S3 bucket is kind of global service, but somehow S3 buckets are mapped against every region. But when you go to S3 bucket, you can see the bucket from all region. So you can see, like in my case, I can see Mumbai. Someone has created bucket from in Mumbai. I can see Ireland bucket. Even if there are US region, I can see everything. So to some extent, S3 buckets are global. Another thing is like S3 buckets in whole Amazon account, bucket name is unique. If I want to create one more bucket with this name, it won't allow. So that is again something you should know about S3 bucket. So names are very unique against whole Amazon account. Okay, I was supposed to tell you about IAM. So if you go to IAM, okay, you see when I came to IAM is again global. So we learned two of the services which is not region specific. IAM is totally not region specific. S3 bucket is global, but it's mapped against region. Just to check, like the bucket, every bucket has unique name across all over world. So we saw two of the global services today. and that's why like why I think this logically makes more sense. Like we cannot have user only for one reason. For example, in future, what if I want to work into like Stockholm region or Mumbai region? Am I going to create new user for region? No. So users are always global, and users can be like moved to a different region, but permission can vary. You can give different permission to different user into different region. That's all. Okay, I think I'm yeah, I mean like we can I'll be almost done in next 10 minutes. So I have prepared some quiz if some people are interested, so I can send you the link here. Okay, so there is this. So this is the one link. So if you want to attempt now, you can attempt now, or if you want to attempt later, it's just a quiz based on the today's session. But I would like to have a feedback also. So it would be great if can you give me feedback? I mean, like I'm just looking for something more. Like if you find this session useful or something session wasn't useful, can you give feedback also in this link? Okay, this is the whole all link. Okay, there was some question. So coming back to question and answer, what is the difference between root user and IAM? Well, IAM is Amazon service. IAM is not user. Okay, so if you go to here, so root user itself is part of IAM. So if I come here, identity access management, and if I come here, you see, I am root user. I can see myself as a part of user. So IAM is like the place where we manage all different users. Okay, so IAM is AWS service, and root user is kind of one root user, admin. You can say it as admin, like that. Does anyone else have any question? Okay, if there is no question, can you just it's 5 minutes feedback. I would be interested in knowing the feedback now. I mean, like it would be great if you can provide me feedback and I can monitor it. I think the session will take more five minutes. So I think the last one is the feedback URL. I'll stop sharing my screen and just ask me if you have any questions.